Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I've got another Destiny 2 video for you guys. This one showcasing my current favorite Arc Warlock build for the brand new Onslaught activity. And if I'm being really honest, I think this one is super underrated. I barely see anybody else running Arc Warlock, and I think it's so much fun. I know you're tempted to just stick on Well of Radiance, but I would say skip that and run whatever you have the most fun with, as long as it is viable, and this one definitely is. It is fantastic against champions. I can take down any of them. It's good against tormentors and bosses, as well as ad clear. Now, this build is also very good at close, medium, and long ranges. So no matter your playstyle, you can be very, very effective with this one. And that's why I do enjoy it so much, because I like to mix it up a lot. I like to really change up what I'm doing from time to time. And that's what this build really excels at. So I am running the Vesper of Radius exotic Warlock armor. This is going to allow me to release arc shockwaves with my rifts. I'm also going to have final blows with this, create an arc explosion. While an arc subclass is equipped, the shockwaves and explosions blind nearby targets, and rift energy recharges faster when you are surrounded. This will happen fairly often when you are running the onslaught activity, because enemies are constantly pushing the objective. So if you're controlling an area, you're going to have a bunch of enemies pushing at you at any given time. Pop a rift, do those shockwaves, and not only that, but you'll also have an arc buddy, which I think acts as almost like a permanent teammate by your side, so you can always control an area. As far as the weapons go, I was running the Judgment, but you could run whatever hand cannon you want in the slot. I just liked it because I did have Demolitionist and Osmosis, and I'm able to really spam my grenades with this build. Then I have Indebted Kindness, which is one of the best special weapons in the game, but especially for the Arc subclass, because of some of the bonuses that you get, you can essentially use this as a blinding grenade launcher with some of your fragments, so I think that works out very well. This one, the key is having Volt Shot on it for sure. And then finally, we have Thunderlord. I just really like this one. I think it's very effective in this activity specifically because you can use it for ad clear in a pinch. You can use it against the tormentors. You can use it against bosses. It's just effective pretty much everywhere, and I do love it. This week it was even better than normal because also you got a 25% bonus to machine gun damage as well, so keep that in mind. As far as the subclass, I was running Chaos Reach. I think this one is really good for polishing off bosses, finishing tormentors, all that kind of good stuff. And then I'm also running Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Chain Lightning, and then Pulse Grenade, which I think is the best grenade on the Arc subclass, period. Then I'm running Electrostatic Mine. This is going to generate a lot of ionic traces, and whenever I get those ionic traces, I'm going to be amplified. I want to be amplified as often as possible. I'm also going to have the Arc Soul. While amplified, my Arc Souls are supercharged, so I want to be amplified as often as possible, and those Arc Buddies are really going to do a ton of damage. As far as my fragments, I am running Spark of Beacons. When I'm amplified, my Arc Special Weapon Final Blows create a blinding explosion. That's why I want to be amplified as much as possible. Then we've got Spark of Amplitude, rapidly defeating targets while I'm amplified, creates an Orb of Power. You see the cycle here. It is very effective. Spark of Discharge, Arc Weapon Final Blows have a chance to create an ionic trace. This works with Osmosis on the Judgment, which is why I am running that. And then finally, we have Spark of Ions, defeating a jolted target creates an ionic trace. So essentially, I'm going to try to get Volt Shot with my Indebted Kindness and go to town, try to get as many ionic traces as possible, get my abilities back really quickly, and it just is super effective in that. My mods that I am running are Heavy Ammo Finder, Arc Siphon, Dynamo. We've got Arc Loader, Firepower. We've got Arc Reserves, Melee Damage Resistance, and Arc Damage Resist. And then Better Already, Double Arc Weapon Surge. And then Distribution, Time Dilation, and Bomber. As far as the gameplay of this, like I mentioned, it is very versatile, so I think that's one of the big keys for me personally. But you're gonna want to initially engage with your grenade first, and then use either your Judgment or your Indebted Kindness, take down a couple enemies, get your Jolted going, pop your Rift as the enemies get too close, and then you're going to start seeing enemies be blinded consistently, create a ton of the ionic traces, and just really have a nice loop of using Judgment or Indebted Kindness in conjunction with all of your abilities, and it works out very, very well. Even as you get to level 40 and above, and as the enemies become a bit tankier, you're still going to see how effective this is. I find that with the ammo in Onslaught, you're pretty much always going to be able to use either Indebted Kindness or Thunderlord at any given time when you need it in a pinch for sure, but as you face bigger enemies, and they're very effective. So that's why I really like running those two in particular when I have a Arc loadout on. I think they are a perfect combination. Now, as far as Onslaught goes itself, some tips that I think are super helpful when running this build. You want to really hold a choke point if at all possible. Yes, other people can use it with like a stasis crystal or something like that, but when you're getting pushed, when enemies are close to you and you're able to defeat a couple with your sidearm first and then pop your rift, that's when you're going to see the best effect with this build. And you're going to see in the gameplay, I'm able to completely control areas. I'm able to take down bigger enemies very quickly, even at those higher levels. And I think this is the type of build that really translates to a bunch of different activities. Everyone is so afraid to get off the Well of Radiance or the Osmiomancy Stasis Warlock, and I think there's good reason for that. Those are very, very effective and the meta for a reason, like I said. But for me, this is the type of activity, even on legend difficulty, that especially if you have a coordinated fire team. But I mostly run solo, and I can show off how effective it is even when I'm not communicating with my teammates, even when I don't know exactly what they're going to be doing. And I think that's the key to some of these builds for Onslaught, is you definitely want a build that can survive and sustain on its own, as well as protecting your teammates, controlling areas, ensuring your objective don't get overwhelmed and overrun. And that's something that I think this build really, really does well, and that's why I like it so much. And again, because you can be a bit more aggressive, you can fly across the map. Because you are amplified, it feels like you're really able to have some good movement, but also good survivability, because you pretty much have a permanent rift down as you're in combat, which is very nice, and I think that works out very, very well. Ultimately, let me know what you guys think of this build. Are there any exotics, subclasses, or armors, anything like that that you think are underrated, that you would like to see a build from me using? Is there anything that you think everybody is sleeping on? I'd love to hear from you guys. Those are my favorite types of builds, to be honest. I really enjoy using underrated things in this game that we don't see all that often, and sometimes you mix it in with the meta, like the Indebted Kindness. I think that one is phenomenal. So I do feel like there's a good balance there, and that's something that a lot of people should keep in mind when you're running these activities. You want to be effective, but you also want to have fun, and that's the key at the end of the day. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously, shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I have another build for you guys tomorrow. This one is going to be a Solar Titan, basically a Flame Paladin that I really, really enjoy, and I can't wait to show that to you guys as well. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. My name is JoPa. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.